I see my slides are on the screen already. So what I did actually is I built a Gemstack and commercetools powered webshop. And it's really plug and play and easy. It's not fully technically sound, but at least we have something. And I'd like to take everybody through that. But before we do that, let me see if I can get my slides to work. Yes. I'd like to give a small introduction also on what Gemstack actually is and why we want to use it. And then just really build our own web shop and do a hands-on, not really a code along, because I think we don't have too much time for that, but at least walk through the proof of concept I made, and then eventually wrap everything up. So let's dive into that. Like Bart said, I'm Gabriël Moawad. I'm 28 years old. I have some stuff on the screen here, what I like to do in lockdown right now, which basically is just gaming a lot because we can't do anything else, but yay. And I recently moved to this new apartment, so that's why everything here looks really empty. If anybody has a great tip on a plumber who can hook up my stove in the area of Utrecht, please hit me up in the comments, because I'm really messing around with that and I don't want to have a big explosion here. But okay, let's not dwell off too far. My professional career also maybe needs an introduction. As I've been working 7.5 years at Capgemini as of right now. Right now I've been working at the Dutch police, which is not, of course, really e-commerce related. But before I did that, I worked a bit at Suit Supply with Salesforce Commerce Cloud, which people might know. And before that, worked in Paris on Alinea and Lacoste, two French clients, which also works with Salesforce Commerce Cloud. Those were more monolithical architectures. And that's why this sort of sparked my interest, because commercetools, of course, isn't. And therefore I want to dive into that. So let's not wait any longer and just do that. So first about the Gemstack. We heard Frank say a lot about Mac architecture. Ashish also came back to that. There's multiple ways in which you can, of course, implement headless commerce clients, but also CMSs. Mac architecture is one of them, but the Gemstack is maybe a bit of a more low-level way of doing it, and maybe easier to build a POC with. So that's what I went for. And Gemstack actually stands for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. Like the slide says already, the JavaScript parts is for all dynamic elements on the pages and will run entirely client-side. The APIs, that's mostly the third-party services. It makes sense that we use commercetools for this POC, and that fits exactly here. And of course, we also have the markup. And that's maybe a good thing to zoom more into, because in the Gemstack, the markup isn't rendered server-side, but it's all done statically. And the static websites might sound like a thing from the past, because we might all remember dragging and dropping static HTML files into our FTP servers, but that's not what we're really aiming for with Gemstack. What a Gemstack does is it essentially generates a static website. So we can still utilize all the, features of using templates and that sort of stuff. But before we actually deploy it, we will generate a static site out of that. And that means we can just utilize storage instead of having a full-blown hosting environment. And it also means we don't have any runtime dependencies on application services and that sort of stuff. Because if we're going to statically generate a website, we want to fetch that data and pre-build it. There's a small asterisk there, because like I said, you can still use JavaScript for all client-side logic. But if there's any dependencies there, then of course you still depend on that at runtime. So how do we generate these static websites? You essentially have quite some static site generators already. You have some bigger ones like Next.js. I believe Nuxt.js is the Vue variant of that. Hugo, Gatsby, well, you see it on the screen here. You even have some small niche ones like Docsaurus. I just put it in here because I really love the logo. And you have Eleventy, which is the one we're going to use for this book. Eleventy is really simple and easy to understand. So like I said, it's just a proof of concept. So let's not dwell too far off on these static site generators. and just use something which fits our needs for now. And like I said, if you can just utilize storage, you don't have these traditional web server requests deemed as the path of sadness here. Normally, your browser would call a web server, which calls an app server, which communicates with a database, which gets the data and then needs to communicate that all back to your browser. If you have a static site, the only thing you have to do is host that static site somewhere. And we have these beautiful content delivery networks set up for that, usually used for things like libraries and that sort of stuff. But now we can just host our full website on that. That means, yeah, like CDNs do, scaling is just a matter of serving these files on more places. We don't have to have any servers generating or running, processing, whatever needed to host this website. We can just put our site on a CDN server somewhere, and then it's cached and you will get a real fast response. So that's beautiful, especially in an e-commerce context, because I don't know the real numbers on that. I think Bart will probably fill me in on that, because I know he's big on that. But every second it takes for a site to load comes back on your conversion, and basically means you make less money. And I guess that's something we all want if you have a commerce website. But the Gemstack, yeah, I said it already. Yeah? You need to generate your site statically. There's, of course, a downside on that. And actually, I was at the JS World Conference, it was virtual, but I was there virtually. And Ishan Anand, co-founder of MoveWeb, had this beautiful graphic here. You actually have this Gemstack sweet spot. If you have a website which has lots of updates or has lots of pages, every time you need to process an update, it means he has to statically generate the whole website again. So if you have a lot of, for instance, a commerce website with lots of products, and I don't know, prices change 10 times a day, then of course your website is generating like all the time, because yeah, you want to reflect those changes. You have multiple strategies on that, how you can do that. Maybe build deltas, maybe only build it overnight, or maybe even do part of it statically and part of it dynamically. If you, for instance, only change prices that often, then that part doesn't have to be generated that often. But yeah, in that sense, the sweet spot, of course, is smaller websites with less updates. And yeah, the more you have, the more friction there will be and the more challenges there will be. So for this demo, I thought we can build one with lots of build time friction. But yeah, like the meme says here, it's basically set up for failure for a demo. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep it quite simple and build a one product website. And how we're going to do that is commercetools, of course. It's been mentioned quite often already. Eleventy, I just mentioned that for our static site generation. And of course, we have Netlify, which we're going to use to host all this and have a serverless backend for that. We have some small things in there which uses Node and NPM. And of course, we have GitHub for a repository and Nunjux for some templating. But more on that later, because I'm going to dive into the code. It's demo time. Let me get the code on the screen real quick. So yeah, the thing is, like I said, I don't want to do a real code along, because it's still quite a bit of code to maybe digest for a small presentation like this. If you deem this interesting, I could maybe share the boilerplate code of this project later on. If you'd like that, make sure to say that in the comments. But what I want to do is do a small walkthrough on this. So we deemed the project Capgemini, because that's a small little pun on Gemstack, of course, and Capgemini, the company I work for, and lots of other people we've seen in these presentations. But this project consists out of multiple packages. So let's dive into the package JSON first. Actually, it's not really that big, because yeah, the PowerPoint slide I had on the screen just yet already spoiled a bit on that. We have Eleventy, our static site generator. We have Nunjux for the templating, Axios, which is going to do some API communication, .env is basically some environmental variables. We have a bit of lambda functionality, which works on Netlify, node sus, because we have some styling in there, and plugin for non-jugs, which means we can include data. I intentionally skipped Fractal, because Fractal is a sort of design system / pattern library, which I just had in here to develop a bit quicker. But yeah, it's not really necessary for this project per se. So with these packages, we actually have a full functioning setup in which we can build these webshop already. We have multiple scripts running here, and I will dive into that a bit later. But the first thing we need when we are going to build a static site, besides, of course, having a template and that sort of stuff, is the data we want to insert in there. We saw Ashish already demonstrate this with the API call of the product. And I actually built this same call in this source data.js script, which is actually just a node script. And what it does is exactly the same as Ashish showed us. Let me scroll a bit down. It does a bit of authentication, because otherwise we're not going to get any data from commercetools. But after that, it gets the product from the product URL, which is just the endpoint Ashish also used. And because I don't need all the data in there, I just picked the data I really needed. And I saved this to a file. So that's the first step we actually need to do. So if I go back into this package.json, you see here, I have a data function which just does the node source data. So let's just run that and see how that works. If I do npm run data in here, you will see everything's working correctly. That is going to run the source data script. So that's the whole file I just showed you guys. And he writes these data he gets from the product into a data folder. So if I go into the components, we have the data folder here, and you can see indeed the data which he gets from commercetools written in this JSON file. Now that we have this data, it's really easy to incorporate this in the templates we have. So for instance, I have a page here called campaign.njk, or I should use this one actually, because this is the Eleventy version. And what you see here is that he gets this data JSON, the product JSON, and use it as product. And if we look for this product, you can see below, it of course uses subcomponents because I'm structured like that. Let's dive into this price.njk, for instance. If we go into atoms, we see price, we see the price.njk, and you can really see here that we use that product price and just display it here. So it's easy as that. We've gathered the information, we can insert this in our templating, and then, we have it there. But now I hear you thinking, cool, these templates, but you don't have a functioning website just yet. So how are we going to do that? Well, I've said it quite some time already. We have Eleventy. What Eleventy does is he gets these templates, and I believe somewhere here we have an index.md, a markdown file, and you can actually put some variables in here, and you can say which layout he needs to use. And Eleventy looks at these markdown files and actually processes these, and will, how do you say that? Generate the static website. So let me jump right back into the package.json, and you can see here that we have Eleventy serve. But I don't want to do that just yet because I want to do Eleventy build first, just to display how it works. So over here, we don't have a dist folder just yet. But if I do an npm run Eleventy build, let's see how long this takes. It's firing up as we speak. Yeah, you see that he now has written an index file to a dist folder, and it took him 0.66 seconds, which is really not that long. But yeah, like I said, can you imagine if you have a website which has, I don't know, 1,000 products, then of course it starts to add up. So that's the sweet spot I was talking about. But like it says here, he copied one item and processed one file and saved it into the dist folder. And now we got this beautiful dist folder in here with the index.html. And like I just said, we had that price thing in there. And now we basically took the data from the data folder we had over here, combined it with a template, and built this static website out of that. This is not everything yet, because if we go back to the package JSON, there's a little bit more magic in there, because if we look at the build function, you can see he first gets the data, then does some SCSS generation, then builds a lambda function, which I'm going to get back into a bit later, and only then he's going to run the Eleventy build. So the only step we forgot here is npm run SCSS. So let me fire that up as well. And there we have it. Now he has generated that too. And now, if I didn't ruin anything, we can go to this index folder, or the dist folder, I should say, and open this index.html file. And you can really see that everything has come together here, and it's already displaying as we expected. Of course, only this part actually is the data in commercetools, because we have the title, we have the price, we have a discounted price, and because I love all my viewers, I will put it at €0 for you guys. And we have a description here, and of course an image. This is actually the data Ashish showed us in the merchant center. So every time you change it there and you build this again, it will get the new data. But now we only have it locally, right? And we want, or I should say, I want you guys to access this as well. So what we can do with that is, simple actually. We have Netlify. And what Netlify is actually, I'm already logged in. Let's sign out a little bit. Netlify actually is sort of, how do I say that? Serverless backend, which takes your repository and just does a function you want with it, and then can host the folder with the static website in there. So for us, that is the dist folder I just displayed. So if we log in here, and I've of course set this up already. Oh, beautiful. I of course didn't fill this in. Is this secure, guys? I don't know if this is up to par with any health or security measures Capgemini has, but let's just ignore that for now. I think I should get an SMS now. Yeah, there it is. 056424. So what it does is Netlify basically looks through your repositories, and you can actually add a new site from Git. So I just linked my GitHub account, and if you're authorized, you can see all your projects here. So this Capgemini project I had locally actually is a Git repository I have here as well. So I won't select it right now because I've already set it up, but here it is. And what he does is actually every time I push something, it's going to get built automatically. So you can see, just like every good presenter, I just did some last second tweaks before the presentation. Like 2 hours ago, I still added something to this project. But what it does, if I go to site settings and I go to build and deploy, is run this build command, npm run build. So that's actually the same command I had here, which we've done locally. And then what it does after that, it's going to use the dist directory as its published directory and actually host that part of it. So just as a demo, what I can do here is in the local website, where did I have it? Here, I have a text order now in the button. If I change that in the, I believe it's in the components pages, Eleventy, if I look for order now, order this product now. If I save this, and if I then do npm run, what was it, Eleventy build, you can see that this will, the local one, sorry, this one, The button will change from order now whenever it's generated in 0.44 seconds. If I refresh it, order this product now. Since this is already hosted on Netlify as well, we can still see it as the order now text here. But if I go to my Git stuff and I get rid of this stuff and only order now text updated, only publish this new or push this new text in here. Let's go. What you will actually see is that the Netlify will pick up this change from my Git repository. So let's see here if it's pushed. Let's go. Of course, it always takes longer when you're doing a demo, but hey. And I guess we should get there whenever I go to my browser and back to Netlify. I go to deploys, and you can see here, order now text updated. It actually picked up the push I just did, and it's building the project again. And it's actually doing that npm run build stuff I did locally, but now doing it on Netlify. And now we will see that, well, I need to scroll a bit, but it says the site is live again. So if I go to my Netlify hosted website and I refresh this, you will see that it reflects here as well. So yeah, that's a bit on how quick you can just grab a simple script would get the data, use a static site generator like Eleventy to put that in templates and generate this website and eventually just host it for free on Netlify as well. Like I said, this is probably not the best solution for doing big websites, but it actually gave me a really quick overview on how I can utilize commercetools to display a product of me on a headless front end. But yeah, of course, commercetools isn't just displaying data. It also has a lot of APIs for ordering stuff. And without jumping too far into that code, I've built a small Lambda function for that as well. And I hope Ivo isn't angry at me, because what I did is actually just have a landslide of all these functionalities of posting to my cart, then doing a checkout and doing everything at once in one function. Not really the best practice. But what this means is that this script is in place. And the cool thing of that is that if I use this now, and this is my old address, guys, so if you want to send me a glitter bomb, it's not gonna get far. But the cool thing is, if I put this here and I'll just add test demo behind the street name and I place this order, it will say thank you for your order. And then if we go to the merchant center, which Ashish just showed us, we go to orders, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Order list, you'll probably see, if everything went correctly, an order which I just placed at 8:44 p.m. And if we scroll down a little bit, you can see that my address, which I just filled in, is actually here. So what I want you guys to do now is go to capgemini.netlify.app and fill in this order form, because what we're going to do, and therefore I'll go back to my presentation, is send you some small goodies, some small stickers actually, because what we're going to do is send you this Capgemini label, which you see on the gem jar over here on the right. And with that sticker, if you paste it on, I don't know, maybe on a gem jar, maybe on your dog, do something crazy, and you post it on LinkedIn with the hashtag Capgemini, you'll have a chance on winning a cool BLD t-shirt. And of course, who doesn't want to have a Capgemini label? I sure want to do that. So that's it. Go to capgemini.netlify.app. I will paste this in the chat after the presentation as well. And make sure to fill it in with your real address, of course, and we'll make sure to send you the stickers. That was my presentation, a small POC on how we can utilize the Gemstack and commercetools together to build a really simple web shop. I'd like to thank everybody for their attention, and don't forget to order those labels. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I would like to thank you as well, Gabriel, for this excellent technical talk about how to, quickly set up a commercetools based site using also Netlify. Yeah, that's really nice, and it's actually already showing you, how with very small steps you can quickly, add value, create value for your stakeholders, and have a nice journey set up quickly. Because I know that this wasn't built, let's say, in a couple of weeks, but in your own spare time, and it's even more impressive. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe good for everybody. I think I mentioned it at the start of the presentation. If you're interested in the more code technical side of it, the boilerplate, make sure to share it, and maybe I can create a sort of boilerplate repository from it to share it with everyone.